All right, now I'm going to show you how you can bend and change the shape of your primitive objects. This gives you all kinds of things that you can do to make your objects look more interesting. So, for example, let's just start with a basic cube here, and I'm going to stretch it out a little bit here. And I'm going to look at this and I'm going to realize, okay, it's only got like a face, one face on each side of it, right? If I want to bend it for you, but I need to have more than one side here to make it look more interesting, right? Remember one of the other videos we talked about changing the number of segments here. So I'm going to add some extra segments, and that way there's more room for animation and for bending and so forth to occur. So I'm just going to add a bunch of extra ones here, and then let me show you how I can bend and twist this. So I'm going to use something called a deformer. Now the deformers here, notice that they have a purple icon, and if you click and hold, you'll see there's actually quite a few different types of deformers, and they all do different things to change dramatically, in many cases, the shape of your object. Let's just start with a simple bend. So I'm going to click on bend, and you'll notice that, okay, in my object manager, I now have my cube here, right? It's listed, and then I have the bend listed above it, okay? Now you can see the outline here of the deformer in the orange colors, and it's pointing in these directions here. You can see the little arrows here. Now, it's actually not going to do anything yet. If I play with what's called the strength, you can see, oh, this is what it will do. But notice something, it's interesting. This is how the deformer works, but it's not actually connected to the object yet, right? The deformer needs to be a child of the object in order for this to work. Now there's two ways to do this, but one way is just to grab this deformer up here, the bend one, notice the purple, and pull it right down on top and see the little arrow pop up there, and I know I let go, and boom, now the deformer, the bend deformer, is a child of the cube. Now watch what happens when I play with strength. You can see that, yes, it's working as I pull back and forth. Pretty interesting. Now I can also change the angle here, right? I can change the angle by dragging on this, and you'll see when I do that when I do this, the bending, it does it from a slightly different angle as well. So you have all sorts of interesting controls that you can do that are really fun to experiment with as you're playing with this. It's lots of fun. You can create sort of an unlimited amount of different types of shapes and so forth. And of course, keep in mind that all of these eventually will be able to be animated, right? So you can create animations with these. Okay, now there's another way I mentioned that's a little bit easier to make the deformer a child. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. I'm going to take the bend deformer and just delete it. And let's say I want to add, if I select my object here, my cube, and I go to my deformers, if I hold down the Shift key when I click, right, let go, all I have to do is hold down Shift and then select my deformer, whichever one I want, and then let go. Look, it automatically puts it under the cube and makes it a child. I think this is kind of a nice shortcut that makes it easier to work with. So that's one way to be able to get started with deformers.